What could be so powerful that it enables you to be successful or set you up for success in just 24 hours? And it's actually a ritual called misogi. This is something that you typically would not do, but it's challenging you, not just in body and mind. And by choosing your misogi, what you're doing is you're saying, this is something that I wouldn't ordinarily do, but it's going to be a catalyst for change. So I'm going to take this with me now. If I can do this, I can do anything. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here today. Excited to get into our brand new topic on this Mindset and Motivation Monday. I've been doing a lot of thinking for the new year. What's one of the ways that I want to set the tone for how I want the year to go? And as I was going through that thought process, there was one specific thing that jumped into my mind. And it is an ancient Japanese ritual. It was typically done just one day per year. But that one thing and that one day per year actually set them up for success for the other 364 days of the year. So you might be asking yourself, what could be so powerful that it enables you to be successful or set you up for success in just 24 hours? And it's actually a ritual called misogi. Beautiful name, beautiful art, really, that was done now for hundreds of years, maybe originated in Japan, but has been popularized in all sorts of parts of the world. Now, people do different things, and I'm going to give you some examples here today. But what really matters is what would be a challenge for you, and not just for the body, because the body can endure a lot, but also for the mind. What would be a challenge for you, not just a difficulty to overcome, because that's how a lot of people will look at it, but a challenge that will make you better. And you might ask yourself, well, how would hiking up a mountain to a waterfall and then standing under freezing cold water and then walking back be helpful? Well, first of all, when you look at it, if that's not an everyday occurrence for you, because this isn't necessarily training, like this is not a normal habit. This is something that you typically would not do, but it's challenging you, not just in body and mind. If you're not used to hiking up a mountain, not easy. If you're not used to cold water immersion, not easy. So what are you doing? Well, first what you're doing is you're overcoming it in your mind, because most of life is a mind game, right? It's overcoming our fears. So first you need to overcome the fears. Like, am I going to be able to hike up that mountain? Am I actually going to be able to find the waterfall? Am I then going to really go under this freezing cold water for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes? And then also how long? Because you need to set your mind to it. And then if you actually get up the gall to be able to do it, when you get to the waterfall, can you actually get under it then and breathe, relax your body, calm your fears, tell yourself you're not going to die, you're going to be okay, and then go through with it? That's what it's all about. It's overcoming the mind. It's not the waterfall. It's not the trek up a mountain. It's the activity that you didn't want to do, didn't necessarily believe you could do, that when you did it, what does it do for you? Well, it boosts your confidence. You realize that all of our fears are really a construct of our mind. There's these beliefs that have been instilled in us. They're not ours. Someone gave us those fears. And they told us that we should be afraid of doing things that we've never done before. We should be nervous about making that trek, about entering into the unknown. And there's a good reason as to why we take up these fears, is because as a human, you cannot make all of the mistakes of all the people that came before you. And so you learn through osmosis when you're young, before the age of 8, of you're just taking everything in. Why? So you don't touch fire and you don't get burned. Hopefully you don't need to learn that lesson, right? You don't go under freezing cold water. You don't stay out in the cold so you don't get hypothermia. You learn all of these things, and then the limbic part of the brain holds it, right? And it says, don't do this. Be afraid of that. Why? It's trying to keep you within the safe zone. And I'm not asking you to do anything that would be unsafe. But what I'm saying is there are certain challenges that you may not be willing to take up right now because they're uncomfortable. But once you start to learn that your comfort zone needs to be pushed because all the good stuff that you want in your life is on the other side of being uncomfortable. You need to get there because you already have the things in your life that you're able to get right now within your comfort zone. So everything else, you need to do something in order to have it, to own it, to be it, right? To do it, you need to go outside that level of comfort. Now, you don't have to go way out, but you're going to take up your own misogi this new year, sooner the better in the first quarter. Why? So that if you can do that, you realize it is a construct of our mind. You can do the next thing, right? If you become successful in one thing, it doesn't stay in that one category. You can be successful in other areas. For example, we have a lot of people in the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute that came from finance, from real estate, from personal training, from massage, estheticians, stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, and they're becoming health coaches. Well, they had some success in some area and they realized like, oh yeah, well, they don't know as much about health right now, but they can learn. And if they were successful somewhere else, why can't they be successful here? Success is literally learning from others, following a plan. When you make mistakes, correct them, take a different path, execute on it, ask yourself, is this path working? Yes or no? If no, find a new path and continue to do so until you're successful. The problem is we've been taught to also believe success should come tomorrow, right? It's not the case. Even people in our wellness-based practice, people ask, how long is it going to take me to get well? About 3 to 6 months, right? For complicated chronic conditions, about 3 to 6 months. Oh, not tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. 3 to 6 months. Oh, well, this other person said they could get me well in a week. Okay, then you may want to work with that person, but and again, like tongue in cheek, but we'll see you in a couple of months, right? Like that's the way that it is. And I don't mean to be, a little smart with that, but I've just been through the process. I was through the process myself. It took 10 years to get well. But when I met my mentor, how long did it take? 6 months, right? And that was a really complicated case. Now, some people can feel all better in 3 weeks, but that's because they emptied the rain barrel, right? But we want to get you healthy on a much deeper level. And what does that take? Well, it takes a turnover of cells at a much deeper level, and that happens 90 to 120 days. So yes, you can feel better in a week or two, but you can't just be like, oh, good, I can go back to my old lifestyle. No. You work on these healthier things. And it's my belief that you look at a category that you're looking to improve this year. Relationships, that's a big one, right? Your family relationships, huge. We're looking at our overall health, body transformation, or career, or spirituality. And by choosing your misogi, what you're doing is you're saying, all right, this is something that I wouldn't ordinarily do, but it's going to be a catalyst for change, right? So I'm going to take this with me now. If I can do this, I can do anything. And you're going to use that then to then move on to what it is you really want in life. So let me just give you a few examples. But honestly, and the truth is, I wrote this in my, I literally, for a podcast, I typically do 3 bullets, and that's what I write. So it's like, I like this just to be raw. I like to draw from different stories from my practice, different experiences, what I've seen, but I always want to make sure that there's a beginning and there's an end. And I want the end of this show to be your feedback. What would be a misogi, a purification-based ritual, something that you would do that would be challenging for both mind and body, that you're thinking about taking up, that would make you that much better in this following 12 months? So I would love to hear one from you. I'm going to share with you a couple that I've heard other people state. So just leave those in the comments below. Appreciate that. And I will read them all for sure. So the first one is this: a hard trek up a mountain. Now you might say again, like, I could do that, no big deal. Okay, well, choose something a little bit out of your comfort zone. So here's one that I did. This was, the first time I did this was maybe 3 years ago. I hiked Camelback Mountain in Arizona, Paradise Valley, Arizona, at around 5:30 or so in the morning. And I did that with a group of people. There was probably about 20 of us. Now, the reason why this is important is we had a nice little, trek up the mountain. Nothing too crazy. We met at the bottom around 5:30, like I said. By the last person getting there, we probably started around 6:15 or so after we all kind of met there. All right, well, what we did was we moved at the pace of the slowest member. So we stayed kind of together in a group. Now, you had to go somewhat single file in some paths, but by the time we got to the top, it was hot. because we did this in around June or so. So sun's beating down on us. This is not an easy hike over essentially barren desert up this red clay mountain, which is beautiful, by the way. And we knew that we ascended to the top, but we had to go an equal distance back down the mountain. After that, all of us were physically exhausted. We were hot. We were probably sunburned. We were not ready for this because I'm a tourist here in Paradise Valley, Arizona, was not ready for this one. And but it was amazing. And so now you can just say, okay, that was a great day, but you can also take something from it. And the really nice thing was there was people of all different fitness levels. I wasn't at the top. I wasn't at the bottom. But what I could do was I could always help the person behind me. And the person in front of me or the person in front of them could always help the person behind them. So there's this really nice pay it forward. Whoever you're a little bit ahead of, help the person behind you. I love that. So again, that story is taken with me to today. These are things that I try to do. If I'm not the best in something, who can I learn from? If I'm decent in something, I have the knowledge base, who can I teach? Who can I help bring up? Who's ready, right? All right, the second one is this, completing a hard race. Now, a lot of people do not believe that you should take up a misogi in public, that this is not something that you should necessarily look to get accolades for or a medal or even train for a lot of the time. But I would say a really hard race is game changing. I remember, and again, this is not even that crazy. It's a sprint triathlon. So what did I do? All right, I swam a half a mile. It was a 24-mile bike. And then it was I think it was like a 5-mile run. All right. This was not crazy, right? It was like an hour and a half of work, but I had to train for it. I knew my goal. I had to change my fitness regimen because of it. Then race day came. I had to wake up at 5 in the morning, get there around 6. I had to make sure my bike was ready, my gear was ready, all of those things. And then I completed the race and it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, it was just fantastic. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of just sprint triathlons, because anybody can do them and you just have to train for it. So what that enabled me to say is like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can train for anything. Like, I can train for any race now. It's an hour and a half race. Well, could I train for a marathon? Of course I could train for a marathon. I chose not, like there's things that you choose not to do, but you can carry it over anywhere. So I love that one. Okay. The third one is this: traveling to a distant location, not just for vacation, but for education or spiritual-based purposes. So this is one that, yes, I mean, mine was for internships, so I can't give you that, right? But like the first time I landed as an American in Sri Lanka at the airport, and I was so naive. There was no one there that spoke English. There was no customs. It was an absolute free-for-all. And I said, oh, wow, I have no idea how I'm even going to get to the clinic. I have to find a taxi. I didn't think of like any of these things. And my naivety, though, led to just nervousness, fears, all of these things, but I overcame them. And I had a beautiful experience. Now, another one that other people may, and they have done, is they'll go to an ashram or they'll go to a spiritual-based center. And for them, they might take a vow of silence for 5 days or 7 days. They might be part of a co-op. Like it's an experience of something that you would never have done before. And it can be absolutely, and usually is, game-changing and life-changing for you, not because of the body. The body can handle hard workouts. It can handle all these things, but because of the mind. Let me just give you a couple more. There's another one that I saw. When people go to an Ayurvedic clinic, specifically outside of the United States, and they do panchakarma, and they go through the sweating, they go through the Ayurvedic Abhyanga massage, they go through, the different basti, the different enemas, they go through the vamana, they go through all these things. It's so out of their comfort zone. They're just like, wow, what just happened? Like, literally, who are these people? What is this form of medicine? I can't believe this has been done for 5,000 or 6,000 years. Why have I not known about this before? And if I don't know about this, what else don't I know about? Right? So it opens and expands the mind. I love that. I could give you so many stories about my internships. Some of them were absolutely brutal. Now, let me just give you one. So in one of my clinics, one of my internships I was at a clinic in Trivandrum, in India, in Kerala, India. And was it the only time? It was probably the second time. I stayed at the clinic in a patient room. Okay. Didn't understand like what that would entail. Okay. I'm in a essentially rock block based bedroom, no air conditioning, no ceiling fan, windows. That's it. A bed on the floor, which is a mattress that was probably 30 years old. Picture what you think a 30-year-old mattress would look like, and it was worse. All right. So like whatever's in your mind, it's worse. Okay. Then there's a small bathroom. The bathroom has a toilet, no toilet paper, and a sink. Beside the sink is what would be the equivalent to like a spray hose for like your sink, like beside your sink. Okay. Well, that was, if you were to have a bowel movement, that is how you would literally wipe yourself, like a bidet. And an amazing thing is they didn't tell me at the clinic that they shut off water to conserve water and electricity at 8 p.m. I'm in the shower, which by the way, just covers the whole bathroom like a lot of times they do in Europe. And I've got soap in my eyes, soap in my hair, no water, nothing. And so then I'm going to my room to get a bottle of water, because you can't drink any water there, so it has to be bottled or purified, and pouring it to get the soap off of me. Like it was, and sleeping on the floor, and I put a towel over the mattress because there weren't specifically sheets. This was an inner city-based clinic that I was at. Now, I learned so much there education-wise, but I learned much more that I could live out of a bag in deplorable conditions, at least for an American. Again, this would be normal. So like, I realized how privileged I was. That was a life-changing experience. The body could do it. The mind had to overcome it. One more I want to give you is this. It could be a simple ceremony. I did a ceremony when I was in Mexico at a Temazcal. It was a sweat lodge. It was a 3-hour sweat ceremony. You basically had an authentic, shaman's the wrong word, but a facilitator of this event. And they did specific chants, and I'm not doing it justice, and a smoke-based ceremony to start, not inhalation, but lighting of different herbs. And then we would go into this stone hut, and water would be poured over these hot stones. And for 3 hours, there would be chanting, and there would be highs and lows. There would be sweating. I was literally on my back, just telling myself, just breathe, relax, calm yourself. You're going to make it through. My heart was pounding out of my chest. And finally, the door opens after 3 hours. The moonlight is now coming out. The steam's coming off my body. And I'm just like, I can't believe I survived that. And then you go into these cold showers, and you're just cooling your body off, and then you put on a robe, and they bring you some tea, and you go through your final chanting and blessings. Unbelievable. I still remember it to this day. 3-hour ceremony, no training for it, no 30-minute sauna to prepare you for that, and it was absolutely remarkable. It's these types of misogis that you do once, but they stay with you for the next 364 days of the year. I ask you, what is your misogi going to be this coming year? Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Have an amazing rest of the day. And of course, I'll be back with tomorrow's Cabral concept. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.